Callie and welcome to Kapowski Reads. And this week I decided to read my book club book a little bit early because it's a book that I thought was going to make me quite sad. My book club book was Educated by Cara Westover, and it's a memoir, and I didn't want to just go in and read it and then come out just feeling, emotionally wrecked. So I decided to do sort of like a reading sandwich. When you have to deliver bad news, you kind of sandwich it between some good things. So my plan with this book was that I was gonna read some kind of happy, joyful books to make me all super warm and fuzzy and happy in my soul, then read this book and feel maybe a little bit sad, and then go and read another joyful book and replenish my stocks of happiness. That was my plan. So first up, I read Empress and Anaya by Candice Carty-Williams, and this was an audiobook for my library. It's just a novella, so it was really short, but it was really short and sweet. It's about two young girls at a very prestigious school. One of them is a scholarship student, and she is sort of taken under the wing of a child from a very wealthy family who was sort of perhaps ignorant to the struggles that other people go through because they are not as well off. And the girls become really good friends. Then they do some magic and they end up body swapping. So very Freaky Friday, and it was really good because it let each of the girls sort of see life literally through each other's eyes. Part of this book was, super unrealistic, and I don't care because I thought it was lovely. It was a really, really nice story which did tackle some quite difficult topics such as neglect and poverty, and I do think this was a young adult book, and I do feel it was perhaps on the younger side of that, but I really enjoyed this book and I just thought it was adorable, and yeah, it was a really good read. I'd been meaning to pick this up. I'd seen it a few times in bookshops and thought about it, and then my library had it, so I got it there, and it was such a good pick. I gave it 3 stars, a solid 3, but I'll definitely be reading other books by the author because I enjoyed what they gave me. So I thought I would just read one more sort of silly and fun, heartwarming read before going into the memoir. So I read Call Me Maybe by Cara Bastone. This was an audiobook again on Audible, and it was basically Vera was on the phone to IT support and stays on the line with Cal, who is her IT support. Cal with a K, not like Callie with a C. And they end up on the phone for 9 hours. Now, that's I think that's a bit unrealistic, but they were. And they just were chatting and basically started falling for each other over tech support. There was more than just a romance in this book. Vera was struggling to get her business off the ground and just didn't feel super supported by her family, and Cal had some other family issues as well, and they spoke to each other about their respective issues. So it was just lovely seeing their friendship and romance blossom. This was utterly predictable, but I don't really mind about that because I wanted this book to be a lovely, sweet romance, and it was. So I don't really care that it was predictable because it gave me what I wanted. Again, this was a very solid 3-star read for me, and I think the author has quite a few other books, so I'm going to be checking those out at some point too. So after those 2 books, both pretty short, I was feeling really good. My soul felt happy and I was ready to go in and read I said earlier, my book club pick was Educated by Tara Westover, and I must admit that I did not want to read this book. I had heard really good things about the book, but I don't like reading books about children in harmful situations, and this memoir was pretty full of situations like that, so I knew that I was going to find it quite tough. So this book is all about Cara, who grew up in a very religious family and didn't go to school and sort of lived a life very different to my own. For legal purposes, didn't really exist. Like, she had no birth certificate and no medical records, nothing like that. This book was all about her sort of childhood and her journey to gain an education, and I thought that was going to be quite like inspirational to read about, but unfortunately I did not enjoy this book at all. It really wasn't for me, and if this book was fiction, I would have absolutely no problem in sort of listing all of the things I didn't like about it, but because it's non-fiction, it's somebody's life, I don't want to say the things that I disliked about someone's life because that's ridiculous. I can't dislike someone's life, that's weird. So this book didn't really do it for me because it had quite a lot of contradictions in it. It was quite repetitive at times, and there were a number of instances that were described in the book that the author wasn't there for. So they were including memories that weren't their own, and that felt strange for me to read a memoir that included descriptions of events that were basically secondhand because they weren't your memories. So yeah, it didn't make me as emotionally drained as I thought it would, which is good. I don't want to read a book that's going to make me super sad, but it wasn't for me. That's okay, because this book is super popular without me liking it. So after reading that book, I was feeling quite disappointed because I didn't really have that many expectations about Educated, but I had seen some amazing reviews, so I was expecting to have a really good time reading it, despite it being about quite a tough and perhaps upsetting subject. So after that, I thought I need to build myself up with something that is going to be joyful, and I had planned to read a nice happy book after anyway as a treat, and I decided to pick up one of my newest books, which I'm very surprised about too, because usually I buy books and they just wait on the shelf for ages, but I decided I was going to read You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. For me, reading a book in the month that I bought it, if it's not a book club book, that's a pretty good achievement. I'm very proud of myself for that. So this book was about Liz, who was remarkably intelligent, super smart, getting ready to go off to college, and failed to get the full scholarship that she needed, and decided to run for prom queen because where she lived, that came with a scholarship, and that would just tide her over, and she would be able to go to college and go and study blood disorders, I think. Definitely medical, and definitely to do with blood. And I really enjoyed this book. We don't have proms here, so I find the concept of prom really interesting. You know, I'm a sucker for a film with a prom setting. We did have, you know, school parties, but they were Scottish country dancing or maybe discos to really old pop music. And in 6th year at high school, we did have a ball. I didn't go to it, but it happened. So I liked reading about the sort of drama of running for prom, because prom is a huge deal in the school that Liz goes to. I loved reading a book that was filled with really healthy and loving family, especially after reading Educated. I was so happy reading about a family that treated each other with love and respect. The sun is shining, so I have some fun lighting. That is going to be my eyes in a couple of minutes, so I will try and be quick. Liz and her friends were just the most adorable team. They were ran with military precision, and I just thought it was so just lovely. Each of the characters really felt layered, like they felt real, which I really enjoyed because there were quite a few characters. It would have been so easy to just have a one-dimensional mean girl, for example, but that didn't happen because every character was just fully rounded and just felt real. They felt like they had flaws. I just thought this book was brilliant. I laughed so much, I cried, I was rooting for Liz from the start, and I really enjoyed this book, and I'm probably going to read it again because it was just such a really fun read and it made me feel really just happy, and I love books that leave me feeling nice and happy. So that's 4 books that I read this week, and I think I'm okay with the way that it worked out. I've ended up with a 1-star read, which I always hate when I give books 1 star, but I could not justify giving any more. So a 1 star, 2 3-stars, and a 5-star, because I gave 5 stars to You Should See Me in a Crown because it deserved them. If you've read any of these books, then post in the comments, let me know how you got on with them, especially if you enjoyed the book that I didn't, because I feel really bad about not liking it, and I would love to speak to people who enjoyed it. I think it's going to make for a very interesting book club conversation, although it's really hard to kind of have a chat about how we feel regarding non-fiction, because it's not like you can discuss how good the story was. It's not a story, it's life. So that's going to be interesting, but that's not for another couple of weeks. If you like this video, please like, and that way I will know. I post videos every Sunday, so the next video is probably going to be less rambly. I hope. Who knows? Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.